Have you ever grown tired of your own sensitivity? Just one glance, a shift in tone, or a sudden silence. You already sense the pain they are hiding. You feel their hurt before they even cry. You are the only one in the room who notices the anger simmering underneath. Others say you are too sensitive, but you know the harsher truth. You were trained to live this way just to survive. You carry traumatic intelligence. It is the survival intelligence forged in silent childhood wounds. 8 signs you are carrying traumatic intelligence. Here are the clearest 8 signs. Not to boast, but so you finally understand. The price is still being demanded from you. Sign 1. Your brain never sleeps. The mind forged in fear. You cannot turn off your brain. According to the study by Tekin et al. In 2023, rumination is a key mediating mechanism between childhood trauma and emotional symptoms in adults. Every conversation, every message, every glance. Your mind analyzes them in multiple layers. You see truths that others refuse to accept, yet you cannot rest. This is not overthinking. It is your brain working overtime. It learned long ago that if it did not analyze carefully, you would get hurt. When you were small, you had to analyze constantly. Is Dad angry today? Is Mom silent because of me or something else? What will happen if I say this? Your brain got used to running at full capacity to ensure safety. Now, even though you are an adult, it still runs on the old habit. It does not know how to rest. Sign 2. The invisible radar. Eyes that know danger in advance. You only need one quick glance, a smile that does not reach the eyes, a voice just a little higher than normal. You already know something is wrong. People tell you that you are too sensitive, but that is not sensitivity. It is a survival skill you learned very early. When you were small, you had to guess adults' emotions before they exploded. You learned to read your father's anger from the way he clenched his fists. You learned to recognize your mother's disappointment from her hurried sigh, because if you read it wrong, you would pay the price. You did not choose this radar. You built it to protect yourself. And even now it still runs, even though the enemy is no longer there. Every time the radar activates, it is the silent cry of the child who once lived in invisible fear. Sign 3. Your nervous system never shuts down. The alarm still runs. Your nervous system is still waiting for the next scream. You never truly relax. Even when everything around you is peaceful, one part of you is still waiting for something bad to happen. Footsteps in the hallway, an unanswered message, a small change in your partner's voice. All of them trigger the alarm system inside you. That is because when you were small, you were never allowed to let go. You had to stay ready at all times. You had to predict anger, indifference, or abandonment. Your body learned to live in a constant state of red alert to protect you. Now, even though no one is screaming anymore and no one is abandoning you, your body still does not believe it. It keeps guarding 24/7, and you pay the price with chronic exhaustion, insomnia, and the feeling of being constantly tired even when you've done nothing physically demanding. Sign 4. The prophet of collapse. A heart that feels the storm. You can feel the air change before anyone says anything. You know when a relationship is about to fall apart. You know when danger is approaching, even though everything still looks normal. Others say to you, "You worry too far ahead." But you know it is not excessive worry. It is painful knowledge. You once lived in a house where one small mistake could make the whole atmosphere collapse in an instant. So you learned to read danger signs very early, because if you could not read them, you would get hurt. Now, even though you are an adult, that warning system still runs. It has saved you many times. But it also leaves you truly exhausted. According to the research of Jovanovic and colleagues on fear inhibition, people who grew up in unstable environments often develop superior ability to detect danger. At the same time, they gradually lose the ability to turn off the fear reflex once the danger has passed. The storm has passed. But your radar still refuses to come down. You have become the prophet of the very pain you once endured. Sign 5. The child who fixed adults. Small hands carrying the storm. You're the person everyone turns to when things fall into chaos. You always find solutions faster, deeper, and often solutions no one else thinks of. While others are still confused, you already have a 3-step plan. You became the healer in every relationship. You learned to clean up the emotions of your parents, your siblings, the whole family, while no one cleaned up your emotions. You became so good at solving other people's problems that you forgot you yourself are also a problem that needs solving. But few people know this ability was born from having to solve adult emotional problems when you were still very small. According to Tedeschi and Calhoun in 2004, this is a classic manifestation of post-traumatic growth. It is the ability to develop strongly after trauma in which flexible problem-solving skills are trained from unstable childhood environments. You grew up too fast. Not because you were stronger than other children, but because you were never allowed to be weak. Sign 6. The translator of silent language, a soul that hears the unspoken. You hear the things people do not say. A veiled remark, a forced smile, a tone that changes by just one small shade. You catch them all. While others are listening to surface words, you already hear the hidden layers of meaning underneath. That is not a supernatural ability. It is a skill you trained from when you were small. You had to read between the lines to predict your father's anger, your mother's disappointment, or the dangerous silence that was about to hit. You learned to translate body language, silence, and everything not said out loud into clear signals, danger, or safety. According to the research of Shields and colleagues, 2001, on emotion regulation in children, those who grew up in environments with unstable and unresponsive emotions often develop significantly higher nonverbal sensitivity than children raised in safe environments. It was an adaptation mechanism. But the price is that your brain was never allowed to turn off danger analysis mode. You have become a poet of silence, but also its prisoner. Sign 7. A heart that absorbs all pain. The child who became the family shield. You do not only understand other people's emotions, you feel them as if they were your own. Their tears make you hurt. Their sadness presses heavy on your chest. Sometimes you have to leave the room. Because other people's emotions are too big, too real, too suffocating, you carry hyper-empathy. Because from small you had to survive by sensing adults' emotions before they exploded. You learned to feel instead of just listen. You became the emotion collector for the whole family. Now you carry this ability like both a gift and a curse. You can love deeply, but you also get hurt deeply. You absorb so many emotions that sometimes you no longer know which feelings are yours and which belong to others. Sign 8. The impenetrable shield. Strength exchanged for childhood. You have fallen many times, but you always stand back up. You adapt so fast that others think you are fine, while inside you are carrying a mountain of pain. You are so strong that others do not know you are bleeding. That is because from when you were small, you had no other choice but to be strong. You had to comfort yourself when no one comforted you. You had to stand up when no one offered a hand. You trained resilience in the harshest circumstances. You are a survivor. But precisely because of that, you rarely allow yourself to be weak. You carry traumatic intelligence like a shield. It protects you, but it also makes you afraid to take it off. According to Tedeschi and Calhoun, this is exactly post-traumatic growth. It is the superior ability to recover and adapt after trauma. It often appears clearly in people who experience childhood emotional wounds. That strength is the most valuable legacy of your childhood, and also the most painful one. The root. Why you had to become this way. You were not born like this. You learned to become this way. It was childhood emotional neglect. An emotionally unstable environment where you were never allowed to be a child. Your brain is not broken. It was forged in fire. The fire of childhood wounds. Hypervigilance to survive. Hyperempathy to avoid abandonment. You were not overly sensitive. You had to become sensitive in order to exist. And even now that price is still being collected. How to heal the child inside. Traumatic intelligence is real. The price you pay is real. But you do not have to keep paying forever. Healing begins when you look at the child still curled up inside, the child who once had to stay alert 24/7, who had to predict every outburst of anger. You do not need to remove traumatic intelligence. You only need to shift it from survival mode to healing mode. Turn the pain into strength. You are not broken. You were forged in fire. Your sharpness lets you see deeper. Your depth makes you wiser. Your resilience helps you grow more valuable than ever. Love the child within. That child did everything possible just to survive. And from today, you will raise the next generation with love and wisdom instead of fear, so they do not have to carry the same wounds you did.